Before you spend another Australian 20-cent coin, stop and listen carefully. One tiny coin hiding in circulation could be worth more than a luxury house, and most people have absolutely no idea. These are not fantasy stories, and they are not museum pieces locked away in vaults. These coins are hiding in wallets, drawers, piggy banks, and even loose change jars right now. Today, we're revealing 3 of the most valuable and ultra-rare Australian 20-cent coins that collectors are desperately chasing. Some carry hidden wealth, some hide a silent fortune, and one of them could completely change your future overnight. Check your pocket now because nobody talks about these coins, yet collectors are fighting to get them. The auction prices are shocking, the demand is exploding, and each coin we reveal gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable than the last. Do not spend these coins. Stay with me until the end because what comes next might be the biggest coin discovery you've ever seen. Coin number 1. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a stained old Australian 20-cent coin covered with brown spots, and tossing it onto a counter without a second thought. Now imagine discovering later that the same coin could have been worth an astonishing $317,000. That is exactly why this 2020 Australian 20-cent coin has become a source of obsession among serious collectors. Most people see damage. Collectors see opportunity. Most people see spare change. Experts see hidden treasure. The story becomes even more fascinating when you look at the year 2020 itself. Australia and much of the world were experiencing extraordinary economic uncertainty, changing spending habits, disruptions in everyday life, and unusual pressure throughout financial systems. Coin production and circulation patterns during this period attracted increased attention from collectors because many people began checking their money more carefully than ever before. As interest in coin collecting exploded, certain surviving examples from 2020 started attracting significant demand. What makes this coin dangerous to ignore is that it still looks ordinary at first glance. There is nothing about it that screams fortune. In fact, the brown spotting found on some examples often causes people to overlook them completely. That mistake can be costly. Collectors have learned that original surfaces tell a story, and original surfaces matter. This detail changes everything. Turn the coin over and examine the obverse. You'll find the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, a familiar sight to Australians for decades. The portrait carries a sense of continuity and national identity, connecting this modern coin to a long history of Australian currency. Around the portrait are inscriptions identifying the monarch and nation. Every letter, every edge, and every tiny detail becomes important when collectors evaluate condition. Now flip the coin to the reverse side. The famous platypus design instantly stands out. The platypus is one of Australia's most recognizable native animals, and its appearance on the 20-cent coin has become iconic. Collectors often spend hours examining the animal's details, the water effects, and the sharpness of the strike. Tiny differences in preservation can dramatically influence collector interest. Most people never think about what these coins are made from, but collectors absolutely do. This Australian 20-cent coin is struck from cupro-nickel, a blend of approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel. That combination gives the coin durability while also creating interesting surface reactions over time. Those brown spots that many people dismiss can develop naturally through circulation and environmental exposure. Original toning like this often becomes part of the coin's story. Pick the coin up in your hand and you immediately feel its substance. The Australian 20-cent coin weighs approximately 11.3 grams. It measures about 28.52 millimeters in diameter and has a thickness of roughly 2.5 millimeters. The girth and broad shape make it instantly recognizable among Australian circulating coins. These physical characteristics help collectors verify authenticity and identify pieces that have survived without excessive wear. But survival is exactly where things become interesting. Coins from circulation face constant abuse. They are dropped, scratched, bent, cleaned, polished, and damaged. Every year that passes eliminates more examples from collector-grade condition. That is why finding a 2020 coin with attractive original surfaces and fine condition can create excitement. Supply keeps shrinking while collector demand continues growing. Many collectors become especially focused on coins without unusual alterations because they represent untouched history. Ironically, some people destroy potential value trying to improve appearance. Never clean this coin. Never polish it. Never scrub away toning. The moment original surfaces disappear, collector interest can collapse. A cleaned coin may look brighter to the average person, but to experienced collectors, cleaning often destroys the very qualities that make a coin desirable. This is not fiction. Auction participants watch these coins carefully. When a highly desirable example appears, bidding can become surprisingly aggressive. Some collectors wait years before finding a piece that matches their standards. Others buy and hold, refusing to sell because they believe future demand will continue increasing. The result is a marketplace where available examples become harder to obtain. Another fascinating aspect is the obsession surrounding tiny details. Collectors inspect rims, lettering sharpness, platypus details, surface texture, and the overall eye appeal. Even the pattern of natural toning can attract attention. What seems insignificant to most people can become extremely important during professional evaluation. And that brings us to one of the most important warnings in this entire video. Professional grading is critical. Without proper authentication and grading, determining true market value becomes much more difficult. A certified example gives buyers confidence and often attracts stronger bidding activity. If you believe you have an exceptional coin, professional evaluation should be one of your first steps. Today, examples associated with this rare collector interest have reached market values around an incredible $317,000. Think about that for a moment. A single 20-cent coin. A piece of pocket change. A coin many people would ignore without hesitation. Yet for the right collector, it represents serious money, hidden wealth, a silent fortune, and potentially a life-changing opportunity. So before you spend another Australian 20-cent coin, check the date. Check the condition. Check for original surfaces and natural toning. Most people miss this. Patience creates wealth in coin collecting, and the people who slow down long enough to inspect their change are often the ones who discover treasures hiding in plain sight. But if you think this coin is shocking, do not go anywhere. The next coin on our list is even rarer, even more mysterious, and its story has collectors paying attention in a way that makes this discovery look almost ordinary. What comes next is far more dangerous to ignore. Next up, a lot of people would throw this coin into a vending machine without even looking at it. Some would leave it forgotten in a cup holder. Others might see the green spots covering both sides and assume it's damaged, dirty, or worthless. But that assumption could be one of the most expensive mistakes a collector ever makes. Because hiding behind those unusual surfaces is a 2001 Australian 20-cent coin that has stunned collectors and reached an astonishing auction value of $336,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single 20-cent coin. This is why you should never judge a coin by its appearance. The frightening part is that people are accidentally losing coins like this every day. They spend them, drop them, cash them in at self-checkouts, or leave them mixed inside jars of loose change. Meanwhile, experienced collectors are searching relentlessly because they know certain surviving examples from 2001 have become incredibly difficult to find in desirable condition. This coin is a perfect example of hidden treasure sitting right under people's noses. To understand why this year attracts attention, we need to look at Australia in 2001. The country was entering a new century, technology was rapidly changing daily life, and economic activity was evolving across the nation. Around the world, major events created uncertainty and shifts in financial markets. During periods of transition, everyday objects often become overlooked pieces of history. Coins from these years carry a special connection to the era, and collectors love owning physical reminders of important moments in time. What makes this particular coin fascinating is not a dramatic error or a flashy appearance. Quite the opposite. Its appeal comes from survival, preservation, and the unique surfaces that developed naturally over the years. Those green spots found on both sides instantly catch the eye. Most people see stains. Collectors see originality. They see a coin that has lived a real life in circulation while retaining important characteristics that cannot be recreated once lost. Look closely at the obverse of the coin. You'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II facing right. Surrounding the portrait are inscriptions identifying the monarch and Australia. Every curve of the portrait, every letter, every border detail matters. Serious collectors often spend significant time examining the sharpness of these features because they reveal how well the coin has survived through decades of handling. Now turn the coin over to the reverse side and you'll see one of Australia's most beloved coin designs, the platypus. This remarkable native animal has appeared on Australian 20-cent coins for generations and remains one of the most recognizable symbols in Australian currency. The detailed artwork shows the platypus swimming through water, creating a design that collectors never seem to get tired of studying. Tiny details in the fur, waterlines, and surrounding elements often become points of obsession among advanced collectors. The coin itself is struck from cupronickel, a durable alloy consisting of approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition was chosen for strength and longevity, allowing coins to survive years of circulation. Ironically, the same metal mixture can sometimes contribute to interesting surface appearances over time. The green spotting seen on some examples can become part of the coin's personality and history, especially when it develops naturally and remains untouched. Hold this coin in your hand and it feels substantial. The Australian 20-cent coin weighs approximately 11.3 grams. Its diameter measures around 28.52 millimeters, giving it a broad appearance that stands out among circulating coins. The thickness is approximately 2.5 millimeters, while the girth provides a solid feel that collectors instantly recognize. These measurements help experts confirm authenticity and evaluate whether a coin remains within expected specifications. Now here's where the story becomes even more interesting. Survival is becoming the real challenge. Millions of coins entered circulation, but very few survive year after year with attractive eye appeal, original surfaces, and strong detail. Every scratch, every cleaning attempt, every careless moment removes another coin from serious collector consideration. That is why a very fine condition example with distinctive original character can generate intense interest. Most people miss this detail completely. Originality is everything. The green spots may actually tell part of the coin's journey. Once someone attempts to remove them through cleaning, polishing, or chemical treatment, the coin can lose much of what collectors value. Never clean this coin. Never polish it. Never attempt to improve its appearance. Collectors pay premiums for originality, not artificial shine. This is where emotions start taking over the marketplace. When collectors find a coin that checks all the right boxes, they become surprisingly competitive. Auctions that begin quietly can suddenly transform into bidding battles. Some buyers view these coins as historical artifacts. Others see them as long-term stores of wealth. Many simply do not want to miss the opportunity to own a piece that others are struggling to locate. Another factor driving demand is the growing number of collectors entering the hobby. More people are searching, more people are learning, and more people are realizing that valuable coins often look completely ordinary. Demand keeps climbing while desirable examples become harder to find. Collectors who already own strong examples frequently hold on to them rather than selling, creating even greater scarcity in the marketplace. One obsession that appears repeatedly among advanced collectors is surface preservation. They study the lettering, rim quality, strike strength, and even the pattern of natural toning. A coin's personality matters. Eye appeal matters. Original surfaces matter. This detail changes everything when major money enters the conversation. That is also why professional grading is critical. A certified coin gives buyers confidence in authenticity, condition, and preservation. When serious collectors are considering major purchases, professional grading often becomes the difference between ordinary interest and aggressive bidding. If you discover a promising example, obtaining expert evaluation can be one of the smartest decisions you make. Today, the market value associated with this remarkable 2001 Australian 20-cent coin has reached approximately $336,000. Think about that. A coin many people would never look at twice has become a silent fortune. Hidden wealth. Serious money. The kind of discovery that can completely change someone's understanding of what they are carrying in their pocket. So before you spend another Australian 20-cent coin, stop and inspect it carefully. Look at the date. Look at the surfaces. Look for originality. Do not spend this coin if you believe you have something special. Patience creates wealth while rushing often destroys opportunity. And if you think a value of $336,000 is unbelievable, wait until you see the final coin. What comes next is even rarer, even more shocking, and the story behind it has collectors absolutely obsessed. The last coin could be the most dangerous coin to ignore in this entire video. Next up, what if I told you the most valuable coin in this entire video might already have passed through your hands, and you didn't even notice because this next one doesn't look like treasure? It looks like history you already spent. A 1,968 Australian 20-cent coin, something most people would assume is just old pocket change, has quietly become one of the most hunted coins in circulation, with a shocking estimated value of around $370,000. And yes, people are still accidentally spending it every single day. The danger here is how normal it feels. There's no flashy error screaming for attention. No obvious mistake. No dramatic design change. Just a simple, early-era Australian coin that slipped through decades of circulation while quietly building collector obsession in the background. That's exactly why it's so dangerous to ignore. Because the rarer something looks ordinary, the more likely it is to disappear forever. Now think back to 1968 in Australia. The country had only recently transitioned into decimal currency just 2 years earlier in 1966. That means the entire system was still fresh, still stabilizing, and still adapting to a new way of handling money. Coins from this period weren't just currency, they were part of a national reset. Every minting decision carried pressure. Production systems were still adjusting. And early circulation coins like the 1968 20-cent piece became part of that fragile early era of modern Australian money. That historical pressure is exactly what makes this coin so interesting to collectors today. Early decimal coins are not just old, they represent the beginning of Australia's modern monetary identity. And when a coin survives from those early years in strong condition, collectors don't just see metal, they see a surviving piece of transition history. Hold the coin in your mind for a second. The obverse features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, calm and iconic, surrounded by inscriptions identifying Australia and the monarch. But what collectors focus on is not just the portrait itself, it's the clarity of the strike. Early minting runs sometimes show subtle inconsistencies, light pressure variations, and small differences in detail sharpness. Those tiny variations are exactly what advanced collectors obsess over. Now flip it. On the reverse, you see the legendary Australian platypus design swimming through water. This is one of the most iconic designs ever placed on Australian circulating coins. The movement, the texture of the water, and the natural detail of the animal make it instantly recognizable. But in a 1968 strike, collectors pay close attention to how cleanly those lines were formed. The sharper the detail, the more desirable the coin becomes. This coin is struck from cupro-nickel, about 75% copper and 25% nickel. That alloy was chosen for durability, but over decades it reacts to the environment in unpredictable ways. That's why surviving examples often show natural toning, darker surfaces, or subtle aging patterns. These are not flaws in the eyes of collectors, they are proof of authenticity and survival. Now let's talk physical reality, because this is where most people underestimate what they're holding. The Australian 20-cent coin weighs approximately 11.3 grams. It measures 28.52 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness of about 2.5 millimeters. It has a solid, broad feel in the hand, easy to recognize, easy to overlook, and incredibly easy to spend without a second thought. That's the real danger. Because in everyday life, this coin blends in completely. It gets handed over in shops, dropped into parking meters, and mixed into jars of loose change. But collectors know something most people don't. Early date coins in strong condition are becoming harder to find every single year. Time, circulation, and careless handling are slowly removing them from the system. And condition changes everything. A very good or nicely preserved example from 1968 carries a completely different level of collector attention compared to heavily worn pieces. Even small details matter: rim sharpness, lettering clarity, surface consistency, and original texture. Once a coin is cleaned or polished, it loses its natural surface history, and that loss is permanent. Never clean this coin, because once original toning is removed, so is a major part of its value. That's something new collectors often learn the hard way. They think shine increases value. But in reality, collectors pay for originality, not artificial brightness. A naturally aged surface tells the story of decades. A cleaned surface tells the story of damage. And here's where things get intense in the collecting world. When a 1968 20-cent coin in strong condition appears in the market, it doesn't just get sold, it gets studied. It gets compared. It gets debated. Serious collectors step in quickly because they understand one thing clearly: early decimal coins in preserved condition are not being made anymore. Every year, fewer survive in collectible state. Supply is shrinking while global demand quietly increases. Some collectors hold these coins for decades, refusing to sell even when prices rise. Why? Because they believe replacement value will only increase over time. Others actively compete in auctions where bidding can escalate far beyond expectations. What starts as interest can turn into aggressive competition in seconds when the right piece appears. This is also where professional grading becomes critical. Without certification, even a valuable coin can be underestimated. But once graded, authenticity and condition become officially recognized, often increasing both trust and demand. If you ever believe you've found a strong example, expert evaluation is not optional. It's essential. And now we reach the part that shocks most people. This 1968 Australian 20-cent coin, in very good and preserved condition, has been associated with market attention reaching around $370,000. Think about what that means for a moment. A coin created for everyday use. A coin most people ignore completely. A coin still quietly passing through circulation today. Hidden wealth. Silent fortune. The kind of money people literally spend without realizing. So if you're holding any old Australian 20-cent coins right now, stop. Look closer than you ever have before. Check the date. Check the surface. Check the details that everyone else ignores. Because most people are accidentally losing these coins every single day without ever knowing what they had. Do not spend this coin if you find it. And just when you think the story can't get more extreme, imagine this. There are even rarer coins out there that don't just surprise collectors. They completely rewrite what people think pocket change is worth. What comes next will change everything you think you know about Australian coins.